Very good evening to all pious yogis and volunteers for Kita Hontu. This evening we shall discuss a discourse from Majjhima Nikaya, the middle length of discourses. The title of this sutta is Vatthupama Sutta, or the simile of the cloth. When the teaching of the Buddha, the Dharma is explained with a simile, then it could be easily understood. So the Buddha begins the discourse by giving this simile. Suppose a piece of cloth were stained or defiled and dirty. So if a person wants to dye this piece of dirty cloth with blue color or yellow color, then the Buddha said that it would be poorly dyed and impure in color. Why is that? Because this piece of cloth was not clean or not pure. Similarly, when the mind is defiled, then one may not be born in the happy realm or in the future. One will go to unhappy destination. But suppose a piece of cloth were clean and bright, and if someone to put this piece of cloth in some dye, whether it's a blue color or yellow color, then it will look well dyed and pure in color. Why is that? It's because of the purity of the cloth, or the cloth was clean. So too, when the mind is undefiled, then one is expected to be born in the happy realms in the future. So the Buddha gives this simile to explain the state of mind, just like a piece of dirty cloth. A piece of dirty cloth, like a mind that's defiled, full of impurities. If the piece of cloth is very clean, then it's like the mind is very pure. There's no defilements, no impurities. So this sutta, simile of the cloth, the Buddha gave this simile to show that effort is required to purify the mind in order to realize the greatest benefits or greatest result from this effort of purification of mind. When the mind is defiled, mental defilements can become a cause to a person to commit evil or to perform what I call unwholesome deeds or dark actions. So that's why it is important to purify one's mind from this from all kinds of defilements. So if a piece of cloth is very dirty, then one might have to put a lot of effort, a lot of time, or to clean that piece of cloth. So similarly, if the mind is full of impurities, or in other words, the mental defilements are very strong, then one might have to put a lot of effort and time to overcome the defilements or to remove the mental defilements completely. So one has to put forth effort to purify or to clean one's own mind. No one can do it for you. Um, in this discourse, the Buddha explained 16 kinds of mental defilements. I shall go through these 16 mental defilements briefly in terms of the eradication according to the stages of enlightenment. The first is Makha in Pali, or Makha. Makha is translated as depreciation of another's worth, or denigrating others. Depreciation of another's worth, for example, a person is very capable. That person can do the work efficiently. So this person is so efficient in his work or her work. So he should become, he can become someone valuable, for example, to the company or to the society, to the association. So he or she should be a worthy person in that in the society or association, but other person might be dislike him or her and depreciate his worth or her worth. So the other person could depreciate the worth of this person in the society or the association by saying that this person is useless to the association or of no use to the society. He's not good at anything at all. But this Pali word Makha is translated by another teacher as ingratitude. So maybe we shall explain it in another discourses. The second defilement is a palasa, or palasa in Pali. So palasa means improper rivalry. But there's another translation saying that palasa is arrogance. So because of this defilement, palasa, arrogant, then one regards oneself as equal to someone who is better than him or her. For example, one regards oneself as equal in terms of achievement in spiritual training with some noble ones. Then that person may speak disrespectfully. It means not respecting that of them. So due to these defilements of palasa, one may think that the noble one or the noble teachers are not free from any mistakes or errors, and they are still ignorant. So they say this in order to enhance their prestige or their name, or enhance means like to increase, to promote their prestige or their good name. So in that way, they might accumulate unwholesome karmas. And the third defilement is isa, or envy or jealousy. So I believe you know what's envy or jealousy. So I shall explain more details in terms of the characteristics or the function of the envy or isa. The characteristics or the lakkhana of isa, envy, is being jealous of others' success. The function or the rasa of isa, envy or isa, is to be dissatisfied with others' success. So it's manifested as aversion towards that. So the proximate cause of isa or envy, jealousy, is success of others, isn't it? One may feel strong jealousy, especially if the object of jealousy, for example, that person she dislikes or he hates. So if that person whom he hates or dislikes is successful, then there's a feeling of aversion towards the success of that person. So in general, people do not like to see or to hear someone better than him or her. So sometimes one may even feel jealous of others doing so much of good deeds, wholesome deeds, and so on. Then the fourth mental defilement is Macariya, or avarice, or is also translated as stinginess, meanness in English. So the characteristics of Macariya is concealing one's own success or one's whatever success that one going to be gained or obtained. The function is not to bear sharing this with others. So it is manifested as a shrinking away from sharing, or as a meanness, or as a sour feeling. And the proximate cause of Macariya is one's own success. So, in other words, Macariya means one will hide one's wealth or keeps one's property secretly so that no one will know about it. So in one of the Dhamma talks, we did quote a story from the Dhammapada. So that Dhammapada story is about Mata Kundari. So his father, Adina Pubaka, was very stingy and never gave anything in charity. So when Mata Kundari was sick, his father did not consult any physician, or sometimes he would ask other physician if there's such condition, such illness, what would you prescribe? So after hearing because he's not willing to pay a fees, he's merely make some inquiry. Then after the inquiry, he would try to make the medicine himself for his sick son. So eventually, the sickness of his son was getting worse and worse until the physician could not cure him anymore. So when he realized that his son Mata Kundari is going to die, so he had his son carried outside, put his son outside the house on the veranda, so that when the people, for example, his relative, come to visit his sick son, they will not see his possessions, wealth or property inside the house. So this is what I call Macariya. Then in one of the previous talk, we did discuss about Chula Kama Vibhanga Sutta, where the Brahmin Tudaya was very stingy, so eventually he was born as a dog in his own house. So in other words, Macariya, a person who is endowed with these defilements of Macariya, will hide his wealth. If he's going to be successful in certain business, he is not willing to share that opportunity with others. So in the sutta, as well as Abhidhamma, mention about 5 kinds of Macharya. In one of the sutta, in some of the sutta found in the Anguttara Nikaya, the Buddha even mentioned that if one does not abandon these 5 kinds of Macharya, one cannot attain absorptions, one cannot attain enlightenment. So the Buddha says, without abandoning 5 kinds of Macharya, one cannot attain the first stage of absorption, second stage of absorptions, till the 4th stage of absorption. If one cannot abandon these 5 Macharya, one cannot attain Sotapattipala, Maggapala, Sotapattipala, Sakadamipala, or Anagamipala, and attain Arahantship. So the first is Macharya, or stinginess, with regard to one's residence or one's dwellings and property. The second is Macharya, or stinginess, or with regard to family or supporters of family. And the third is stinginess with regard to gains. Then stinginess or Macharya with regard to Dharma, or the knowledge of Dharma. Then Macharya, or stinginess with regard to what call virtue or good qualities. So when there's a stinginess with regards to one's resident dwellings, then one may not wish to share with others. For example, some monasteries may not willing to let other monks or to stay in their monasteries. Then about stinginess with regards to family or supporters or followers. If there's a feeling of what called if there's this defilement of Macharya, one may not like to see one's follower to go to another leaders or another teachers and so on. But if one is going to the wrong teachings, and I was preventing him, stopping him or her from going to the wrong teaching, then it's not Macharya. Then, for example, stinginess or Macharya regarding vana or virtue, or one may dislike others endowed with a better virtue or qualities than him or her. Or in other words, when that person is endowed with Macharya, hearing that others praise another one, the good virtue or good qualities of another person, then he's a feeling of dislike or not happy to hear that. So these defilements can hinder, according to the Sutta, a person to attain absorption concentration and to attain enlightenment. And the 5th defilement is Maya, or deceit. And then the next is number 6 is Sateya, hypocrisy. So Maya means the tendency to hide one's defects or shortcomings. For example, sometimes the workers in the factory were not working, idling the time away when the supervisor or the boss is not around. Then they will seen working very hard in the presence of the supervisor or the boss. Or in meditation, a yogi did not follow the instructions yet. During the interview, he or she will report that he followed the instructions. Then satya is a hypocrisy. So it means there's a tendency to pretend, to pretend that one is endowed with a good morality. One may even go to the extent of boasting one's virtuous conduct, even though one does not possess such virtuous conducts. They may, one who is engaged in meditation, if one is endowed with this defilement satya, even though one has little experience, one would be boasting that one has a lot of experience, has attained very high stage of insight knowledge and so on. So these defilements related to one of the teaching of Buddha. There's what I call 5 factors of striving. So we did discuss this discourse in one of the previous talk. The 5 factors are confidence in the enlightenment of Buddha. The second factor is a good health. The third is not deceitful, or in other words, being honest and sincere. And the fourth is effort, or strenuous effort, ever increasing effort. And the fifth factor is one is endowed with insight knowledge of arising and passing away, or wisdom that realizing the instant arising and passing away of the conditioned phenomena. So these are 6 defilements of Makha, Palasa, or Isa, Macariya, Maya, Satya, or uprooted at the first stage of enlightenment. Then the remaining 10 defilements are weakened at the second stage of enlightenment. Then the next 4 mental defilements are uprooted at the third stage of enlightenment, when one attains anagami magga. The 4 mental defilements uprooted at the third stage of enlightenment are vyapada. Vyapada means malevolence or ill will. Then the second is koda. Koda means anger. The third is upanaha. Upanaha means grudge or revenge, or one bearing grudge, or harbor this evil desire to take revenge. And the fourth is pamada. Pamada means heedlessness. As you know, the opposite of pamada is apamada. Apamada means always heedful. So these 4 kinds of defilements, or vyapada, koda, upanaha, and pamada, are uprooted at the third stage of enlightenment. Then the last 6 mental defilements are uprooted at the stage of arahata magga jnana. The first is abhijja and visamaloba. Abhijja and visamaloba. It is translated in English as covetousness and unrighteous greed. The second is tamba, or tamba means obduracy, lacking of respect. And the third is saramba, or saramba means disparaging others. The fifth is mana, or conceit. The fifth is atimana, or atimana means excessive conceit. Number 6 is mada, or vanity. So these 6 kinds of defilements, abhijja, visamaloba, or tamba, saramba, mana, atimana, and mada, are uprooted at the stage of arahata magga jnana. So in this sutta, the Buddha says, one should abandon this defilement of the mind. For example, knowing anger to be a defilement of mind, one abandons it. Or knowing hypocrisy to be a defilement of mind, one abandons it. So in other words, one has to know that the nature of these defilements and is the cause of suffering. One abandons it means by attaining the supramundane path knowledge. So if one aspires to abandon these defilements, then one must know the way. So the way or the path is none other than the Noble Eightfold Path. So to abandon these defilements by attaining the supramundane path knowledge, these kinds of abandonment is known as samujjeta pahana. So samujjeta pahana means one who has attained path knowledge. For example, the first path knowledge is known as Sotapatimagga Jnana. So at the moment of attaining Sotapatimagga Jnana, then the 6 kinds of defilements will be uprooted. If one has attained first stage of enlightenment and uprooted these 6 kinds of defilements, then one would attain perfect confidence in the Buddha, or perfect confidence in the Dharma, as well as perfect confidence in the Sangha. Perfect confidence in Pali is known as avijja pasada. So if one does not endow with this perfect confidence, avijja pasada, then one's confidence in the Buddha, the Dharma and the Sangha is not yet firm, stable, in other words, subject to change. So if one does not have this type of confidence or avijja pasada, that's why one may still change their belief, or they may follow other teachings outside the Buddha Sasana. There are 3 kinds of pahana, which are mentioned quite often in the practice of meditations. The first is vikambana pahana. The second is tadanga pahana. The third is samujjeta pahana. Vikambana pahana means those who practice samatha meditation, when they have attained absorption concentrations, then mental defilements will be suppressed by the absorption concentration. Or in other words, the defilements are abandoned or removed at that time by absorption concentrations. When samatha meditators have stopped the practice of concentration meditation, then the absorption concentration will disappear eventually. Then mental defilements can arise again. The second kind of abandonment is known as tadanga pahana. Tadanga pahana is attained by mindfulness meditators or vipassana meditators. For example, when vipassana meditators have attained deep concentration in the purification of mind, then they will begin to realize some experiences in vipassana meditation. So when vipassana meditators have attained purification of mind, then they begin to realize that at each moment there's a pair of processes. So in other words, meditators begins to realize the specific characteristics or the individual characteristics of the phenomena clearly. For example, vipassana meditators, you perceive process of movements such as the process of rising movements, and process falling movements clearly during sitting meditation. So at the time, there's a realization of a process movements, or paying full attention to a process movement. So the mindfulness or the process of mindfulness is only perceiving a process movements and nothing else. So beside this pair of processes, for example, a process movements and process of mindfulness, there's nothing else. There's no idea of a self or person or yogi observing a process of movements. So that experience remove the notion or the idea of a self at that moment. So this is known as Tatanga Pahana. But when the effort is weakening, concentration is weakening, then that experience of meditation could be disappear. Then there's no more realization of a pair of processes that's happening or occurring at each moment. So in other words, the insight knowledge remove the mental defilements at that moment is known as Tatanga Pahana. But when the concentration is weakening, then meditators could not have that experience at that time. So when meditators could realize the specific characteristics of phenomena clearly, and there's a process of mindfulness, paying full attention to a phenomenon, then they will make further progress from there on. Then meditators will realize, for example, the relationship between the process of mindfulness and an object. For example, if an object, a process of rising movements does not arise, then the mindfulness will not appear. Then it's because there's a process of rising movements appear at that moment, then the mindfulness or attention mind will appear instantly or almost at the same time with that process of rising movements. So if the mindfulness is not sharp and strong enough, meditators could not perceive that the mindfulness or the attention of mind appear almost at the same time with the arising of an object. Then when meditators could increase the effort gradually, they shall be able to perceive the whole process of a phenomenon, for example, the whole process of rising movements clearly. Then meditators may be able to follow the process of rising movements till the end of the movements. Then when there's a process of falling movements appear, mindfulness or awareness will appear to note that process of falling movements. But if meditators have not yet developed sharp mindfulness and deep concentration, then they might think that at the end of the process of rising movements, the awareness of mindfulness is still staying there. So at the end of the process of rising movements, the falling movements sometimes did not appear instantly, so there will appear a short gap, a brief gap between these two process movements. So meditators might think that mindfulness is observing that gap. That mindfulness, the mindfulness that was observing the rising movements is now observing the gap. Then when falling movements appear immediately, that same process mindfulness which observe the gap and the previous rising movements will now mindful of the falling process or the process of falling movements. In that way, meditators have not yet realized the true nature of the process of mindfulness. If meditators have realized the true nature of mindfulness, then they will come to perceive that the process of mindfulness is also subject to the nature of impermanence, arising and passing away with the object. So when meditators could realize both processes, the object and the process mindfulness or awareness arising and passing away at each moment, then you will be able to make further progress. So that realizations of anicca and then dukkha, anatta will remove three kinds of papancha at that moment. The three kinds of papancha are called craving, wrong view, and are called DP. So only when meditators will overcome three kinds of papancha, then they will make further progress. So overcoming mental defilements by insight knowledge is known as tatthagga pahana. So only by realizing tatthagga pahana, that realization of tatthagga pahana, you pave the way to the realization of samucceda pahana. So mindfulness meditators or vipassana meditators have to realize tatthagga pahana, then they can gradually progress to the realization of samucceda pahana. So coming back to this sutta, the simile of the cloth. So when one has gained this perfect confidence in the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, then surely one will gain, for example, enthusiasm for the ultimate goal. One will gain enthusiasm for the Dhamma and so on. One will gain what called greatness connected with the Dhamma. So when this feeling of greatness, joy also arising. So when there's joy, then the body also becomes tranquil. One would also feel happiness. So when there's happiness in the mind also becomes concentrated. So such a practitioner of Dhamma, a bhikkhu, surely will endow with this virtue, concentration and wisdom. He has such virtue, such concentration, such wisdom refers to one who has uprooted the craving for sensual pleasures. So one could strive for attainment of the final stage. So according to the sutta, one understands there's this, there's the inferior, there's a superior, and beyond there's an escape from this whole field of perception. There's this actually refer to the truth of suffering. Inferior means the cause of suffering or the origin of suffering. Superior refers to enlightenment or nibbana. So beyond there's an escape from this whole field of perception, actually refer to the practice of the Noble Eightfold Path. So when one knows and sees this way, then one will be liberated from this canker of sensual desire, or liberated from this canker of becoming, canker ignorance. Then one will attain the higher stage of enlightenment. In other words, there is no more birth. So at that time, the Buddha said, such a monk or bhikkhu is called one bathed with the inner bathing. So actually at that time, there's a Brahman by the name of Sundarika Bharadwaja. was sitting there not far from the Buddha. So the Buddha purposely say this, one path with the inner bathing. It is because those Brahman hold the belief that by bathing in the river, for the river Bahuka, then they will gain purification, they will gain liberation, they will gain a lot of merits. So that's why the Buddha say, such a bhikkhu is called one bath or one bath with the inner bathing, because the Brahma hold the belief that taking bathing in this river, they will get purified, they will gain liberations. So the Brahman Sundarika Bharadwaja asked the Buddha, does Master Gautama go to the Bahuka river to bathe? Then the Buddha asked him, what good Brahman is the Bahuka river? What can the Bahuka river do? Then Brahman Sundarika Bharadwaja answered, many people believe that Bahuka river gives purification, or it means to give liberation. Many people believe that the Bahuka river gives merit. In the Bahuka river, many people wash away their evil deeds that they have done. So do you think by bathing this Bahuka river, the evil deeds will be washed away? So we cannot wash away our evil deeds by bathing in this river, Kaya, Sundarika, and so on. So sometimes some Buddhists also follow this type of practice, quite similar to this kind of practice. For example, some will take back some holy water from the temples with some flowers in the water. Then they mix together with the water in the bathtub and they take bath. They think by taking bath with this holy water, we wash away their bad lucks. Will bring good lucks and prosperity and so on. So this type of practice is not in accordance with teaching Buddha, or is not endowed with right understanding of karma. So when bathing in all this river cannot purify the evil doer. So only one who is pure in heart, doing a lot of good deeds, then one will become a safe refuge for all beings. So to make oneself a safe refuge for all beings, one should abstain from falsehood or from telling lie. One should not do anything. Doing anything that harm the sentient beings, or should not take what's not given, and so on. So in other words, one can only be purified with this inner bathing. So this is the discourse on the simile of the cloth. So you have to put forth a lot of effort to wash away the dirt of your mind. So I wish all yogis, every one of you, will understand this discourse, the simile of the cloth, so that you would put forth effort of virya to purify your mind and gain the ultimate benefits of purification of mind.
Sadhu.